everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be crocheting 2 jar covers. I bought these 2 jars at the Dollar Tree and I'm going to be making covers for them so that they can fit along with the rest of my cottagecore aesthetic. The first jar is going to be to hold scrap yarn, so that way I have somewhere to put it and I can repurpose the yarn later. And the second jar is going to hold project ideas. So on days where I don't exactly know what I want to crochet, but I definitely do want to crochet something, I don't have to spend time deliberating on what item I am going to be crocheting. I just pick something from the jar and I'll be able to crochet that. Feel free to pick up your own project or take inspiration from this idea. And without further ado, let's get into it. I got the idea to crochet these covers for these jars whenever I was watching Tina Made with April's video whenever she's doing her yarn reorganization. She bought this shelf, and on the shelf she had a little crochet mock cake type situation. And so I had commented and I had asked her if she had a pattern for that. And she said that she got the pattern from ETM Studio, and whenever I went and checked out their page, they had a ton of very kawaii / cottagecore / pastel vibe tutorials going on, and they're all super cool. And so eventually I am going to make some of those because I do need more decorations for both my office and my house in general. But I wanted to crochet these jars because I know that the pastel colors and the vibe that I went with is going to match them really well. The reason why I went with making one of them into a scrap yarn jar is because I always feel really wasteful whenever I throw away all of my scrap yarn, but also I really don't like scrappy projects like the whole scrappy beanie or scrappy blankets. I just don't have, I like the aesthetic of them, not that those are bad projects. I personally just do not have the patience to do them. But I was watching Katie Being Creative, and she repurposes her yarn scraps by using them to tie the price tags onto all of her plushies. And I feel like that's a really good idea because in the winter / fall season, I do want to get into doing more markets around Christmas and Thanksgiving time because a lot of the things that I make I feel like would sell as Christmas gifts. I decided to turn the other one into a crochet topics jar because I have a decent sized list of projects and patterns that I want to pursue. But every time I look at it, whenever I have time to start a new project, I get really overwhelmed. And it's like this lack of executive function to choose one. So I end up spending more time stressing about which one I want to start than a lot of the projects would have taken because most of them are less than an hour long. I've also kind of made similar jars in the past where whenever my husband was in training for his job and we had to live across the country from each other and didn't really get to see each other for about 6 months, I made him a jar where he could pull out a slip of paper every day and unroll it, and it would have either a reason why I love you or maybe a quote for if he's had a bad day, or just in any kind of encouraging thought that I had went into the jar. And so I wrote all of the topics for the things that I want to crochet, and I kind of rolled them up so I can't see what they are, and I'll just randomly draw as I need to start new projects. So a little bit of story time for what my life has been like this past week. On Monday, my daughter was having a play date with 2 of her friends, and I was sitting right there with them all, completely supervised, and my daughter decided randomly to try and run across and leap off the couch. And she's 2, so does not have the gymnastics or coordination skills to accomplish this feat. Immediately falls directly onto her forehead. By the time she has stood up, it is already swelling, already red, already bruising. And so I'm just I call my husband in, I'm we're gonna have to watch her and see if she develops concussion-like symptoms. Well, the Tuesday, she was completely fine, all day long. And we ended up going to the pool and everything, no symptoms at all. So we were maybe we just got lucky and she doesn't have a concussion. Well, I had like researched and I had found out that like you really need to like watch up to like a week as far as like supervising them and making sure that there are no symptoms, like being on symptom watch. And so Wednesday, that morning, she was just really groggy and cranky all day long. And she's like never really like that. Like, she'll have her moments, of course, but she, for the most part, is a very happy kid. And so it was just like out of the blue. And it took me all day long because I was like in this like fight or flight mode, like just trying to help her as best as I could. And like I never really had like a moment to like stop and think about like why she would be randomly upset like this. And so my husband came home from work and he watched her for a little bit so that I could take a couple hours to like myself to like decompress from all of the stress from that day. And I got to thinking about it and I was like, okay, these are concussion symptoms. We need to make sure that we get her to the doctor first thing in the morning. So that night ended up being awful. Poor girl couldn't fall asleep till like 1 a.m. And then in the morning, she couldn't barely wake up. She was so groggy again. So she ended up going to the doctor and she did have a concussion, but the doctor said it was a very mild one, thankfully. And there are no there's no like brain bleeds or anything like that. So we're still watching her just to make sure that things go a little bit better, but she seems to be dealing a little bit better and feeling better. But that was just a really stressful part of my week. And then also, like, the place where I live never rains. Like, we have droughts all the time. But this past week, the entire time that I've been trying to record has been flash thunderstorms. And because it never rains here, we don't have a drainage system. So everything has just been flooding and it's been hard to go anywhere. And we had to like put away everything that was in the garage because we needed to get our car in there, and normally my husband uses it as like a workout space. And it was like hailing, so like we had to do that, and like we were rushing to try to get it all done, and we had to go get like supplies in case we got rained in. It's just been a long week between like storm preparation and child concussions. Today though is Mother's Day and my husband is bringing our daughter over to our friend's house, and because they have like a really good grill and they're gonna grill out and smoke a whole bunch of meats, and then later this evening they're gonna come back to the house. And so I've got the house all to myself this morning, and it's been like a nice like change of pace, but it's also like kind of like feeding my anxiety a little bit because it's like for months I haven't really gone more than like a few hours away from my daughter. And so it's like enjoyable, but it's also like, I don't know, like I've learned to the point where like silence is the only noise that concerns me, because normally if the house is too silent, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing that you're needing to be quiet about? But it's I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun night. We're gonna play some board games and everything, so that's gonna be really enjoyable. We kind of have like this tradition of trying to get like our friends over, or like we go over to their house every weekend, because like at some point you just need people who are adults to talk to and have more than like a 200 word vocabulary. But yeah, that's my little story times for this week. If you enjoyed this little chat session, then consider following me over on Twitch at PhoenixPW. I try to stream like 1 or 2 times a week, and I would love to hear about some of your weeks and how they went. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this cute little crochet and chat with me chill vibes. Let me know what y'all thought about it in the comment section below. And also tell me what you guys are working on, because I need inspiration for more projects to put into my crochet topic jar. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for liking and subscribing if you do those in advance.